Breaking news, a water rescue in frigid temperatures. We're live in Rogers County where boats are in the Verdigris River.
Stocking up ahead of a major winter storm. The Fox 23 severe weather team is tracking what people here in Tulsa are most worried about.
Covering news that matters, the Fox 23 severe weather team is tracking what hardware stores can't keep in stock.
Covering news that matters. Fox 23 News This Morning starts right now.
Good morning on your Friday. I'm Michelle Lynn.
And I'm Ron Terrell. The time is just about 6 o'clock. We begin this morning with breaking news. We are on the scene of a water rescue in the Verdigris River. One lane of eastbound I-44 is closed.
I'm not sure what we are looking at right now. It looks like a man in agony. There appears to be a fire burning in front of him. He's covered with a blanket. We have a reporter on the scene now. We're still working to find out exactly what's going on, but we know I-44 is impacted, traffic is impacted, and we're seeing several agencies. We've also got live severe weather team coverage on the roads right now ahead of this weekend's winter storm.
Let's get straight to meteorologist Michael Sager in the Fox 23 Severe Weather Center.
We've got temperatures that are cold this morning, wind chills that are even colder. Let's bring up some of the latest numbers. And we just dropped to 15 in Tulsa, 12 in Bartlesville, 11 degrees now in Independence. And we've got teens to the south. By the way, that 15-degree temperature in Tulsa, the coldest we've seen so far this season. And our wind chill now at the coldest we've seen so far this season, sitting at 0 degrees in Tulsa. We've had below zero numbers to the north. And go again, use extra caution as you go out this morning. Will be some slick spots. We've got a few areas of some very light snow still falling as well. It's not going to amount to a whole lot, but it might be just enough to create a few additional slick spots as you are heading out. But all eyes, of course, on a weekend storm system that's going to bring dangerous cold and heavy snow to Green Country. We'll get a look at that in just about 2 minutes.
Breaking news, water rescue in the Verdigris River eastbound on ramps from the Creek Turnpike to the Pine Street exit in Catoosa are closed. Fox 23 Scott Martin is live on the scene. Scott, what's going on out there?
Yeah, Ron, there's a lot going on. I'm going to step out of the shot here. I just spoke with the Verdigris Fire Chief, Mike Schaefer. He tells me this man you see right here in the middle of, I'm not sure what this thing is, in the middle of the river. This is the man they are trying to rescue. Now, he just told me just a couple of moments ago they don't have evidence to support this, but what they think right now is this man might have crashed a vehicle into the Verdigris River and swam his way to this area that is in the river. Again, they don't know that for sure, but that's what they say it appears might have happened. They are just trying to get this man out right now. One rescue boat, at least, we know is in the Verdigris River right now. There are deputies right above him. That's Interstate 44. That's part of the area that is closed. Those ramps that are closed right now from people getting on until they can get this man rescued from the Verdigris River. It's a very active scene. There are several emergency responders out here right now. We've got Catoosa Police and Fire, Rogers County deputies, Verdigris Fire, all out here at this hour trying to get this man. You can see he's got a blanket wrapped around him. I don't know if that was maybe thrown over from the bridge or if it's something that he found up there. You can hear him hollering as well. As you can imagine, it is very cold out here. He is probably wet, especially if he did have to be in the water and swim up to where he's at right now. A very active situation, and the details are changing every little bit. As the fire chief just told me, he said, we're just trying to get more boats in the water. A while ago, you saw us over where they were putting those boats in. 3 Tulsa Fire and Rescue boats are getting ready to go in as well. We showed you that, and now we're on the other side of the river now, getting a look at who they are trying to rescue at this hour. We'll, of course, stay out here and bring you the very latest developments as soon as we get them. For now, we're live in Rogers County. Scott Martin, Fox 23 News.
That whole scene is so crazy.
Just unbelievable. You just can't explain what's going on out there. It's crazy.
Well, right. And Scott's saying they're not sure if the man crashed off I-44, crashed his car into the Verdigris River, then swam to that swampy, marshy, enclosed area.
How did the fire get started?
How did he start a fire? How did he have the things and the blanket?
Yeah.
But he's obviously cold and in agony, and it's a very dangerous situation for all those law enforcement officers, all the firefighters who are out there trying to get more boats in the water. Obviously a developing story. We still have so many questions. We'll continue to bring you live updates throughout this newscast.
Unbelievable. With the city of Tulsa focused on main roads, neighborhood streets are still a problem, and that's a challenge for first responders. EMSA officials tell us over the last 4 days, at least 4 of their ambulances have been in accidents due to slippery conditions. EMSA spokesperson Adam Paluca says they're leaning on other first responders for help.
We're relying on our partners at the fire department to help us. They might go and pick up the patient and bring them to us. They might help us as we're trying to traverse, kind of clear a little path for us.
Paluca also says stranded cars can sometimes block lanes of traffic. So if you're forced to abandon your car, make sure to move it over as far as possible. Kids are home from school again today.
Oh, yeah. Wasso Public School students have not had school at all this week. Thoughts and prayers with my husband, who's been trapped in the house with all the kids. Jinx students are distance learning. Skiatook schools are all closed. We also mentioned in the last hour, Union kids, they were doing distance learning. Today, they're taking a snow day. They'll have to add it on at the end of the year.
You can see the latest closings and school updates scrolling at the bottom of your screen. They are also on the Fox 23 News app.
Our live severe weather team coverage continues this morning in Sapulpa. Fox 23's Naomi Kidd is live at the Elks Lodge with how long they'll keep their doors open to keep people safe in the cold.
Michelle, I learned that they'll be open 24/7 until next Thursday. They actually opened up at 4 o'clock last night, and this is all in an effort to make sure that people have a warm place to go as the temperatures continue to drop out here. So the Elk Lodge is in Sapulpa. It's on Route 66 on Poplar Street. Organizers put together snacks, water, and sleeping bags for the people who need it. I've learned this morning there are a few people inside. It comes as we've seen dangerous cold all week, and the temperatures plan to plummet this weekend and into early next week. Organizers say several local groups, including the Young Minds Big Ideas Youth Group, have stepped up to provide some food for the lodge. Coming up in the next half hour, you'll actually hear from a woman who spent the night inside. She tells me she's just so thankful that she had a warm place to go. I'll have that part of the story for you coming up in 30 minutes. Reporting live in Sapulpa, covering news that matters, I'm Naomi Kitt, Fox 23 News.
COVID-19 vaccination appointments at the Tulsa Fairgrounds are postponed once again today. The parking spaces at Expo Square have not been treated yet, and neighborhood streets are still icy, so they want to make sure everyone stays safe. The Tulsa Health Department is contacting everyone who had an appointment to reschedule.
We are also ensuring that those individuals who are scheduled to receive vaccinations with us are getting rescheduled, and we are communicating that to those individuals. We have to shift our schedules a little bit, but we are doing what we can, and if that means Saturday operations, we are going to operate on a Saturday to get those individuals vaccinated so they don't have to try to fight to get rescheduled.
We were told if they have to, they will make up appointments on Saturdays.
Happening today, the CDC will release new guidance for getting kids back in school face-to-face 5 days a week. Most districts around here are already doing it, but Tulsa Public Schools still have some students in distance learning. The federal advice is expected to include wearing masks, social distancing, cleaning, and contact tracing. The guidelines will not include vaccinating teachers before schools open. Teachers and unions are pushing back against that.
We are eager to hear more about the clear science-based guidelines for opening schools and how we can do that safely and how we can keep them open.
The White House says part of the problem right now is the lack of data about opening schools, teachers' health, and the impact of virtual learning on students. We need to circle back to our breaking news. We're still processing how crazy it all is. Right now, there is a man stuck in the Verdigris River right under I-44. Fox 23 Scott Martin's out on the scene. They think he might have crashed his car. Yeah, it's definitely an unusual situation. He has a fire lit in front of him, obviously very, very cold, extremely cold, and with the water around him, obviously it's a difficult situation. He has a blanket there. And he appears to be in some... It's a cofferdam. My friend who works in construction tells me this is called a cofferdam. I don't know anything about construction or flood control or whatever, but I trust my friend who works in construction. So somehow the man found his way inside there. It looks like there might be a ladder on the right side. So maybe if he did crash his car, he was close to this thing. He climbed up in there, so he's not in the water. Oh, man. He's staggering around. Obviously miserable conditions. We've got dangerous wind chills and law enforcement out there now. We will keep an eye on this situation. It's not good. 6:15, we are live on the scene of breaking news, a water rescue in Rogers County. There is a man inside that coffer dam off the Verdigris River. We're still working to find out how he wound up in the river. We have learned OHP threw him flares. That's what's burning, and that blanket. Several agencies are there now, including Tulsa Fire, Rogers County deputies, Catoosa Police and Fire. Verdigris also has crews there now. Obviously very dangerous conditions for that man with a wind chill advisory, and for all of the first responders who are there working to get to him. We will continue to bring you live updates. Also want to let you know about some lane closures right now. All eastbound on-ramps from the Creek Turnpike to the Pine Street exit in Catoosa are closed. Also, one eastbound lane of I-44. That's what you're seeing up there, the bridge on the right side of your screen. The far outer eastbound lane is closed, so you'll want to watch for that if you're getting out and about. We'll continue to bring you live updates on this breaking news throughout this newscast.
We are following breaking news. We've been showing you the scene of this water rescue. This is at I-44 and the Verdigris River. There's a man on that cofferdam. They are being lowered right now from that bridge to try and rescue him. There's a fire going. He was thrown flares by OHP and a blanket to try and stay warm. We're not 100% sure on how he ended up in this cofferdam, but we know that he is there. He's been in distress, and they are now being lowered in to rescue him. This situation's been going on for over an hour now. Yeah, we are going to keep this live picture up. We know they've been putting boats in the water to try to get to him. Now, we did just see someone, I'm not sure what agency, if that's OHP or Tulsa Fire. We know several different agencies are there, but just was lowered off of the I-44 bridge. That's what we are panning up to get a look at now. You can see the ropes that lowered that first responder into that cofferdam, where a man has been stuck now for more than an hour. We still don't know, as Ron said, how he got there or what happened. We've got a reporter on the scene. First responders were speculating he might have crashed his car and then swam in the Verdigris River to get over to that cofferdam. Temperatures are dangerously low this morning. As Ron said, OHP threw him flares and a blanket to try to stay warm. We saw him staggering earlier, and Ron was actually saying maybe they had told him to move around to keep his blood flowing and to try to avoid a more dangerous situation. He was also talking and yelling. They could hear him yelling, which also may have been part of what they were telling him to do, to just try and do whatever he could to get that blood flowing. And right now Catoosa firefighters, more first responders moving in now. I wonder if there's a boat on the shore or what they're going to. We actually broke another crew away. We were sending another crew to give you a look up at that bridge because there are traffic impacts. I-44, the outer eastbound lane is closed. Also, eastbound on-ramps to the Creek Turnpike were closed. It looks like they're putting a harness on him. So I guess they're going to lift him. They're going to lift him out. And then I don't know if they're going to try and lift both of them at the same time. Not exactly sure the logistics of that. But we're not going to cut away from this. We're going to stay with this because there are so many questions that we have. Yeah. We want to know how on earth this happened. So we're going to stay with this. And like I said, we've got another crew headed to this scene now so we can give you another look at the traffic impacts. But it looks like, fortunately, this scene should be clearing sometime in the next half hour as they've made it to that man in a cofferdam. When we first had a live look, Ron and I couldn't figure out what. We knew it was a water rescue, but he wasn't in water. We were trying to figure out what that is, but a friend who works in construction texted and told me that's a cofferdam, so I looked it up. Also curious because obviously, you know, we still are trying to figure out exactly how he got in the river. They believe that he may have crashed into the river in a vehicle and then swam to the cofferdam. We don't know what kind of injuries he may have from the accident. Like, he is on his feet. Like and hurt. We mentioned he had been kind of staggering around with that blanket wrapped around him, and he's still kind of staggering around a little bit. I'm trying to figure out if he's wearing gloves. His hands look like they are bare. Yeah. Like the skin is exposed. It is so cold, just miserable. And he's having a hard time getting in that harness. You can tell that he's extremely, extremely happy right now that they're there, because he was noticeably shivering, cold, and obviously having been in that water, it is so cold out there. Oh, he's fallen over. I'm sure he's so cold from being out there. Yeah. Who knows how long? And he's got cowboy boots on.
And if he was submerged in the river and then swam to that cofferdam, I mean, I can't.
And the fact that he's doing as well as he is right now in this situation is it's, you know, a lot of good things have happened to this point, and you hope they continue. They hope they can get him out of there, get him warmed back up, because they are obviously continuing to work hard. Another first responder is being lowered now into that cofferdam, and you can see they are both working to try and help him. They've gotten him upright again. The fact that he can stand at this point, the fact that he was able to walk around earlier is remarkable. I mean, it's 15 degrees outside. You consider the water, you know, you add that combination in there, and you know, you don't have a ton of time to be able to make it through something like that. But they threw those flares down. He was able to light a fire to get warm. They threw that blanket down to him. And again, as we were talking about, we saw him almost marching around, just, you know, staggering, trying to yell, trying to scream. And I believe that's probably what they were telling him to do, to try and stay warm and to get that blood flowing. And we also saw him pick up some kindling at one point to try and maybe get that fire going a little bit more as well.
This is just gripping. I know we are all invested now. This poor man, we don't know exactly what happened to cause this, how he wound up there, but we are going to stay with this. I know I want to see that man being raised to safety with this rope rescue attempt. Again, if you're just waking up, just joining us, we've been bringing you live updates for just about an hour now. A water rescue. This is happening right off I-44 in the Verdigris River. The call initially went out that a man was in the Verdigris River. Still working to find out what happened, how he wound up there. They were initially speculating maybe he had crashed off the bridge, which would be quite a distance for his car to fall, and then to make it out of the car in the water and then swim over to that. It kind of looks like an above ground swimming pool. We've learned it's a cofferdam, which is an area that's built for construction workers to work in and stay dry if it's below the water line. So it may have been built back when they were doing construction of that I-44 bridge. And then we learned OHP threw him flares and a blanket. We don't know exactly how long he's been out there in the cold. Several different agencies on the scene now, including OHP, Catoosa Police, Verdigris, Rogers County Sheriff's deputies. We saw a Tulsa Fire Department boat earlier. So you can see the ropes are lowered, and now two individuals, I don't know if it's Tulsa Fire or OHP, but two individuals are in there now working to get that harness on him so they can lift him up.
And you can see the snow falling in that area. Michael was telling us that is not too far from the area where that lake effect snow is actually falling. So they're getting a little bit more snow there. It's obviously making the situation a little bit more cold. And you really feel for this man in this situation as they are going to try and raise him up to the bridge, because this is going to be the coldest he's been in a while, because he's had that fire in front of him. He's had that blanket on him. They're going to raise him up, you know, try to do it as quickly as they can without jostling him too much, obviously. And he's going to be cold again here as they're raising him up. But the work that they've put into this, so many first responders. We've got Tulsa County, we've got OHP, we've got obviously Rogers County and Verdigris working on this, all in conjunction with one another, trying to get this man out. Initially, they were sending boats out into the water, but you can see that they've got that harness set up on the bridge right now to try and raise him up from that cofferdam. And again, the fire continues. Obviously, they will need to put out that fire after they've raised him back up again. But
it looks like they're struggling to get that harness over his legs. It's been taking quite some time. They've got to get that harness on him so that they can lift him up. So fortunate that there's this cofferdam in the Verdigris River. I mean, if there hadn't been this place to go to, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah, the fact that that was there with a ladder out of the water to be able to climb, the fact that he was able
to get into it.
In the first place.
I can't tell what's in the foreground. We saw Catoosa firefighters, several of them, between where our photographer is and that cofferdam. I can't tell if it's just water or if it's swampy. We were trying to speculate and try to figure out why they weren't putting a boat in there. It looks like it's kind of a steep incline, thanks to, I'm not sure which one of our photographers is on the scene now, but giving us a look. It's a steep drop off, I guess.
You can see some of those rescue crews standing down there on the shoreline down below. But again, we are continuing to watch this situation play out in Rogers County, where a man was trapped on this cofferdam. What led up to that, we are still trying to learn a lot of the details on, but we know he was on the cofferdam, that crews were out there to try and rescue him. They knew he was out there. They threw flares to him, OHP did, so that he could light a fire. That's what you see, that glow is the fire that he has lit. You can see the red from the flares. And he has been bundled in a blanket. He has been walking around, talking, trying to stay warm in any way he could.
It looks like it took 2 of them to get that harness on, but they finally got the harness over his pants. I almost wonder if his pants are kind of frozen, you know, if they had been wet or.
Difficult
but they were really struggling to get that
legs.
harness, up and over him. It took 2 of them. They had to lower another first responder down on a rope. Still working to find out what agency these 2 gentlemen are from. We're talking about the danger, obviously, to this man who somehow found his way stuck there and prompted the water rescue, but also extremely dangerous for law enforcement and first responders who are on the scene now. They're still struggling with that harness. It's been a good 6, 7, 8 minutes, and but obviously they've got to make sure it's secure and over his body. If you're just waking up and if you are heading out, since roads are better now than they've been all week, we do want to let you know about traffic impacts. All eastbound on-ramps from the Creek Turnpike to the Pine Street exit in Catoosa are closed right now. Also, the outermost eastbound lane of I-44 is closed. And you'll see why in just a second as we zoom out. That's I-44 on the right. You see all the flashing lights, all the first responders, and whatever type of apparatus that they use to lower the ropes. A truck, I don't know if it's a ladder truck, if it's fire, I can't tell, but that's parked in that lane. So that's why no cars are driving in that lane. And,
you know, one positive as far as them being lowered down into this, you haven't seen the first responders rendering any aid to him in terms of medical aid, things like that. That's a good sign that he's, you know, getting through this despite being extremely cold. Obviously, that's something that they'll have to watch afterwards. But the fact that they did not immediately have to perform any medical procedures on him or anything as this is ongoing is a good sign. So they are continuing to try to get that harness on him to get him raised up to that bridge. It looks like they may finally be wrapping that up, and we will again see exactly what their next step is in terms of getting him out.
Over his hips, and it looks like now they're securing it around his waist. Thank goodness. I feel for everyone who's out there on that scene right now, including our photographer and reporter. Bitterly cold temperatures out there now. It looks like, I'm trying to figure out, earlier it looked like the man's hands may have been exposed, and now it looks like he's wearing a glove. So I don't know if
they may have given him some gloves.
Or if I just couldn't see right in the beginning. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what is going on. But they've got that harness around his waist now, and you can see one of the first responders is going back over to the ropes. Looks like there's obviously some tall brush growing in that cofferdam.
I'd imagine they'll try to walk him back over to the edge of that cofferdam as close as to the bridge as possible as they try to get him raised up there. And then obviously they'll have to come back for those 2 as well. And they'll have to put the fire out.
Maybe they're going to do it tandem, like you said, Ron, because it looks like one of the first responders is securing the rope.
Perhaps to help guide him as well.
And that man is, so cold that he's had trouble walking.
Yeah.
He's been so stiff and so cold. Gosh, that poor man. So we are seeing them now getting the rope secure. This is really remarkable, incredible. I just can't take my eyes off it. And those first responders, so brave. I mean, they've been out there, you know, since 5 o'clock in the morning, so many of them, dozens of them risking their own lives, their own safety in these cold temperatures to rescue this man stuck in a cofferdam in the Verdigris River.
And with the weather and with the situation with him being on that cofferdam as opposed to in the water, they've had to adjust and change their strategy as this has been ongoing, because they brought the boats out initially to try and make this a water rescue. Once he was on that cofferdam, once they discovered that, that's when they threw those flares down in the blanket, and they knew that at least he was on dry land, and at least they had an opportunity to help him warm up. If he had been in the water, obviously we may be looking at a much different, much grimmer situation right now.
Watch this now. He's trying to, you can see the man's got his arms wrapped around that first responder. And I mean, his arms are so cold and so stiff. I'm not sure how well he can hang on, but he's got that harness. They both got the ropes. I've got goosebumps now. They're about to be able to raise both of them and to get that man to safety, but it's a long way to go, all the way up to the side of the I-44 bridge. This is just incredible.
And the fact that he's cognizant, he sees what they're doing. He moved his arm so that that first responder could help with his harness, help make an adjustment there. Those are all good signs as well. And you hope once he gets up there he can get warm. Here we go.
Oh man, oh man. A Tulsa fire, I mean, we've shown you they train for water rescues. I'm not sure what agency this is. I apologize. I can't tell. We have a reporter there and we'll ask him a million questions as soon as we can. But we want to give you a look at this because it's so incredible. Slowly, 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 they are raising him up now. This is
just
unbelievable.
amazing to watch. And from where we were, an hour and a half ago, hearing about a car off the bridge and then seeing that man somewhat in distress on that cofferdam, running around trying to stay warm with the flares lit, and the fact that we're at this point right now, you really feel like this is going to have a happy ending here.
This is just incredible, unbelievable. They're not moving right now, spinning. They were moving slowly, slowly, slowly. Okay, now starting to move again. I'm like holding my breath. This is just gripping. They're raising them up. They've got to get them all the way up the side of that bridge, up and over. And Ron mentioned that snow. That's actually lake effect snow.
Lake effect snow falling on the Verdigris River. And,
crazy.
They are just about up to the edge of that bridge there.
Oh my gosh.
I would imagine we're going to see several arms reaching out to grab both of them as they get up there.
And I'm thinking this could be Tulsa firefighters, thinking this could be a ladder truck. I haven't been able to see the truck, so I'm not sure. There we see another first responder leaning over the side of the bridge. You can see his breath making steam because it's just so cold out there. And it looks like they might be communicating instructions or maybe telling him what's going to happen next.
And you just got to know that going through that man's mind, he knows he's going to be a lot warmer here. I mean, at least he'll be in warmer confines. He's probably going to take a while to warm up, but he'll be in warmer confines here in just moments.
We are watching this rescue now. Again, if you're just waking up, just joining us, this is on the I-44 bridge over the Verdigris River. They are pulling that man to safety right now, and we are seeing it from down below near the river. You can see that man is now, it appears, on the bridge.
Live pictures. This has been going on now for about 90 minutes, and we have been bringing you pictures from the scene showing you that man that was just pulled up over that bridge. He was on the cofferdam below in the water. The story leading up to how he got to the cofferdam, still trying to determine 100%, still trying to learn that from authorities. But right now you can see that glow on the cofferdam. That is the fire that kept that man warm. Those flares that started that fire thrown to him by OHP. He was also thrown a blanket, and you can see there's still movement on the cofferdam. That's because there are still some crews there, still one other man down there as they are trying to probably get that fire out. Looks like
put out the flares.
He's going to try and put the flames out.
And he may be looking for something or just checking things out with his flashlight before they send the rope back down for him. I cannot even imagine doing what they do.
I believe behind the cofferdam I'm seeing a boat.
Yes, there's been a boat in the water. We saw it down in the foreground circling.
There we go.
There's the boat that's been in the water now. I wonder if we can see who's... That's a big boat.
Pretty good sized boat.
That's not the Tulsa fire. I mean, that almost looks like something from the Port of Catoosa, a tugboat.
It is.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Thanks. I think it's Marcus, our photographer. Thanks, Marcus. You're answering all of our questions and giving us everything. That's a tugboat from the Port of Catoosa. I'm 99% sure.
Interesting that it just happens through as this is going on.
But yeah, I wonder if it was called in to help. Okay, so we're zooming out and getting another look so we can see the Rogers County Sheriff's Department there. Oh, we're getting a look now, thanks Marcus, at the huge response. Is that a tow truck or a fire truck? I'm not sure what that is to the left. We see paramedics on the scene. I can't make out.
Yeah, looking
police
at
that could be Verdigris or Catoosa police. My eyes are just
we're
not that
seeing
good.
verdigris. That might be
Firefighters there.
verdigris police.
Catoosa Fire on the scene now. Thank you so much, Marcus, showing us all the different agencies. We're also seeing the heavy snow falling. And again, that man is now safe up on the I-44 bridge. That's lake effect snow really falling hard right there on that scene. A huge presence